Today in our 2017 Jeep Renegade, we're going to be installing Curt's T-connector vehicle wiring harness, part number C56274. This wiring harness is going to provide you with a 4-pole flat trailer connector that will allow you to get all your necessary lighting back on your trailer. This will include your left turn signal, right turn signal, tail lamps, and brake lamps, so you'll be DOT compliant in all states. The control box here plugs inline to both your left and right side tail lamps, receives the signals, and the control box itself then sends it to our 4-pole flat connector. What's great about this is that it's protecting our vehicle because the outputs is only coming from our control box and not from our tail lamp circuits. The control box has its own fuse and power cable that's run up to the battery, so it's completely self-sufficient. When you're ready to use your cable, you simply drape it over the back. Make sure to avoid the latch for your lift gate. Close your lift gate. It'll pinch it in between your weather stripping, which won't cause any damage to the cable, but it'll keep it secure in place. You can then connect it to your trailer and go on your merry way. On the end of your 4-pole flat trailer connector, you're going to have a dust cap. So if it's outside the vehicle when you're not using it, you can just put that on and it'll keep out any dirt, debris, and moisture, ensuring a long-lasting connection. Additionally, if you have it down here, you can hook it on your safety chain loops, and that'll hold it in place and keep it off the ground. The dust cap can be used as a tie device that you can wrap around your wiring, connect it onto your flat connector. That'll hold it together. You can simply store it away. We'll begin our installation here at the rear of the vehicle. We'll need to remove all of our floor coverings and trays so we can access our panels. That includes your spare tire. Now we're going to remove the trim panel located here at the back. You'll need to pop up on the anchors on each side. Then you'll remove the bolt with a T40 Torx socket. Do that on the other side as well. There'll then be 3 Torx bolts that you'll need to remove on the back side of your panel, one located on each side and one in the center. You'll remove those with a T25 Torx socket. Now we can pull our panel up. You'll want to work it upward, popping it off of its clips. Just run your hand along the bottom, and now we'll set it aside. Now on our driver's side, we're going to need to remove the panel here, just behind your netting. There's a small tab, you'll push it in and pull the panel off. On the inside of our panel, we'll need to remove the electrical connector that goes to our taillight assembly. It's going to be difficult to see it because of its location. The release tab is located here, so you want to just feel around it. You'll see it'll be smooth on this side. And you'll have a tab on this side. You want to press that tab in to pull it out. And we've got our connector removed. We'll take our new harness with the yellow, brown, and white wires. The male end here will plug into the female end that we removed from our taillight assembly. And the other end will plug right back into our taillights. Now we're going to remove the fuse box located here. There's a nut there and back there that we're going to be removing with a 10mm socket. We can then just lift our fuse box off of those studs, as we're just trying to get a little extra room to get our hand in there so we can route our power wire. Now we'll look down in our opening, and down towards the bottom there, you'll see a grommet. Grommet's kind of hard to see, but if you look in there, you'll be able to see it, or it's where we're going to be poking our power wire through to run to the front. We're going to go ahead and set that up now before we put too many components here that's going to obstruct our arm from getting in there. We're now just behind our driver's side rear tire. Here's our fender well. When you poke your fish wire through, we just use a piece of airline tubing. It'll come out here behind your fender liner panel. So just push it through until you see it, then you can reach in and grab it and pull it on out. We'll now take the large chunk of black wire that you get. We're going to attach one end to our fish wire here. We're just going to use some electrical tape to do that. And we'll use this to feed it up back into the inside of the vehicle so we can connect it to our control box. The rest of it we're going to leave out here, as we're going to need to run it to our battery. Now just pull your airline tube back up, And here we've got our wire routed inside. We can now take a pair of wire strippers, strip back some of the black wire we just ran in. We're going to use one of the yellow butt connectors that comes in our kit to connect it to that black wire. And we'll connect this black wire to the black wire coming off of our control box. We'll now take the green wire that comes off of our control box. We're going to need to route it down our panel here. We're going to want to come out right here. And we're going to route this wire all the way across to the other side. You may have to tuck your control box in there when doing this to get enough length. Now here on the other side, we're going to need to remove this panel. This removes just like the other side. You push in on the tab and it just pulls off. We can then reach in there and we're going to have to feed this wire up. We'll then feed it in, grab our wire, pull it up. Now just like the other side, we're going to need to disconnect the connector from our taillight assembly. So you'll just press in on that tab and then disconnect it. Plug it into our harness. Plug the other end of our harness back into our taillight assembly. We can now reinstall the panel on this side as we're done over here. We can then put our fuse box back on. So just set it back on the studs. And then on our lower stud there, we're going to use that as our ground point, as the stud is metal and the surface ring right here is also metal for our fuse box. So we can just put the ring on right there, which is the white wire coming off of our control box, and thread the nut back on. We'll then take the double-sided tape that comes in our kit. We're going to peel back one end. We're going to stick it to the back side of our control box. Peel the backing off the other side of the tape. And we're just going to stick this right onto the fender well right there on the top of that. And that'll just stay right there. This is our wiring here for our 4-pole. This is actually a good place to store it when you're not using it. You can just sit here behind the panel. Whenever you need it, you can open up your panel and pull it out. We can now reassemble all of our panels here in the trunk. With all of our panels back in place, we're now going to route our wiring from the back here up into our engine compartment to connect it to our battery. I'm going to route that wire now and then I'll show you the path I took to get there. We routed our wire from where it came on our grommet. We went up over our rear suspension. Then we went down along our fuel tank here. We stayed along the side of that until we came out the front here. We followed this channel all the way along the front. Now you can just poke that wire right up over the side. We put some zip ties along the way just to make sure it doesn't come out of our channel. Right up here to the front. We've done our fish wire trick again from our engine compartment down so we can connect it and pull it up into our engine compartment. So we'll make that connection again using some electrical tape. We'll now pull our fish wire up, making sure we get our wire all the way up. It's a good idea to look back underneath just to make sure that there's not any loops that got caught up on anything and that it cleanly pulled all the way up. Cut our wire free from our pull wire and trim it down to the length that we're going to need. We'll now need to access our battery positive post. There's 2 tabs here. We'll press both of these in and then pull upward to release the top cover. We'll now take our fuse harness. We're going to peel the ends off. They're already pre-stripped. On one end, we're going to crimp on the ring terminal that comes with our kit. And on the other end, we're going to crimp on a butt connector. Now you can use the one that comes with the kit, but we're going to upgrade ours to a heat shrink butt connector since this does live outside the vehicle. And that'll help keep out any moisture from getting in there causing corrosion. We'll now disconnect the nut here using a 13mm socket. We'll slide on our ring terminal. You want to make sure you don't have the fuse inserted in your fuse harness. I've already checked and I verified that we don't have a fuse in ours. This will prevent us from having any shorts while making our connections. We'll just reinstall that nut. Now we've got our fuse harness run. You can get yourself the appropriate length of wire that you know you're going to need to connect it to your harness. I always like to give myself a little bit of extra just to ensure I've got enough to properly route it and clean it up and make it look nice, as well as some for the future just in case you ever need to move it. We'll strip back the end of the black wire and connect that to the other end of our butt connector. Then we'll use our heat gun to shrink down our heat shrink butt connector. We can now reinstall our battery cover. You can zip tie your wiring up so it's nice and tidy. Then install your fuse into your fuse holder. Now we're hooked up to our tester and we're going to verify it all works. You want to make sure you have your left turn, your right turn, your tail lamps, and your brake lamps. And with everything working properly, we're ready to hook up our trailer and hit the road. And that completes our installation of Curt's T-connector vehicle wiring harness on our 2017 Jeep Renegade.